Hey everyone, I'm back, and I'm back with a vengeance. Watch out. No, I actually got a new card for my camera, an SD card, and also all the batteries are charged and everything. And we're gonna make some chicken adobo Filipino style here. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody in Turkey for watching my videos. You guys had the biggest number of people, and then next to you was Romania, and then the U.S. And I know I've talked to a lot of people in Turkey because y'all make some awesome symbols. I was looking at the AGOP traditionals and trying to get bids on how much over there they run and so forth. And I'm still open to that. Send me check them out and see how much they cost. Send me an access. Or actually I don't know what you'd call it, how much they would cost and everything. But anyway, yeah, I like the traditionals. They sound awesome. And for the ones in Romania, the musicians and singers, I want to thank them for watching my videos as well. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get down to some Filipino adobo. What you're going to need is you're going to need some green onions. We know those are basically for garnish. You want to use them at the very last. Okay, and you're going to need some chicken, some oil, about a tablespoon's worth, and some soy sauce, and some bay leaves. I order my bay leaves, believe it or not, off of YouTube, and I order a sack of them at a time because they are expensive at the grocery store. And this way, you're actually helping a single person and not some rich CEO who's sitting around making money by charging you $4, $5 for 2 or 3 bay leaves, maybe a couple more, not much. And you're going to need some peppercorns and 1 onion and sugar. Now the sugar is going to be up to you. I'm not supposed to have sugar, but you're just only going to use like a teaspoonful of it anyway. Take the bite off of the vinegar you're going to use, and garlic. And I've got both. I've got some that's already crushed, and I've got the heads. Either one, if you feel like making some noise and crushing those heads, go right ahead. And I do that sometimes. And but you can use actual already pre-cut up garlic if you want to. And let's see, you're going to need some vinegar, and you're going to need a knife, and you're going to need a pot to cook it all in. That seems like a lot of stuff, but you can eliminate some of this stuff if you want to. Some of them it's just extras, but if you have, it's good. And so anyway, it's a new thing of garlic here, and this is a super simple recipe. It's like very, very simple. And what we're going to do is, I think the hardest part is waiting for it to marinate. I'm not joking. Oh, and what you might want to do also, real quick, I knew I was missing something out here, is get you a slurry jar. Just any old jar that you've had stuff in, pickles or whatever that you've used. Or you don't have to have it. But let me tell you, it makes mixing things a whole lot easier. Okay? Trust me on that. And, measuring cup if you need it. Usually I don't use a measuring cup, but for this I'm going to use a measuring cup. And you're going to need 3/4 cup of soy sauce. That's for almost 2 pounds of chicken though. So just remember, look at it that way. You need 3/4. And I still got soy sauce left. And then we're going to need I usually just eyeball, like I said, eyeball these things, but I'm on here, so I'm going to do it. You're going to need equal parts, so you're going to need 3/4 of a cup of vinegar. You can go just a little bit over, that was pretty close. You can use it in a salad if you have to. I've done it before. Now, you're going to add some peppercorns. And I just get about that many, because they're going to end up flavoring the marinade. Excuse me if I move things around. This way I can get things done. We're going to slice up some onions. And if all you got's the green onions, you can use them. One thing I wished, and I have not found yet, is a breed of no-skin onions. Maybe someday that will happen. All kinds of things happening every day. You never know. Then maybe one of these days I'll get one of those big center islands with a chopping block on it, and chopping block and what do you call it? There's a hole that they throw things down in when you're done using them. You're actually going to cut this up. You're going to mince them. Now see, I'm going to be saving. I don't want to cut my finger off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be saving the big parts that I didn't cut up. And there's a reason, because it's not going to go to waste. No, when you got kids, nothing goes to waste. but I'm going to use those the big pieces that didn't cut up. Yeah, I could take the time and cut them up, but I'm going to use them when I actually cook the adobo. Because yeah, you're going to have a waiting period. And you know, some people state that you should marinate it for 20 minutes. Some people state you should marinate it for a minimum of 3 hours. And I think the marination is a good thing, because I've actually tasted all different ways. And seeing how it's 16:50 or 4:50 in the afternoon, which means that if I wait to cook this and marinate it for 3 hours, you're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7:50, so it won't be done till 2000, 8 o'clock at night. And again, if you got kids, you know that ain't going to happen. And kids like this. I have not yet met a single kid who didn't like chicken adobo. I'm serious. Okay, gonna make some noise here. That garlic there in that jar, I just got it the other day, because you know, things are going weird these days. You can never tell if and I do have garlic, regular garlic. You can never tell if people are gonna make a mad dash and like they did before, and get everything and eat it, or stock up on it. You know, you got people that are hurting in Texas because of the winter storm. You know, and I've got friends in Texas. I was worried about them, and they're pulling through, but they're not happy with the way things went, and I wouldn't be either. You know, they should have had some way of backing up everything. Okay, we're gonna smack that garlic, because we're gonna mince it. I'm just trying to wake up my neighbors a little bit. They don't mind. And since I'm disabled, they'll probably come knocking on the door and asking if I'm okay. You know, because some of them have been telling me, oh, if you fall down or whatever, be sure and beat on the floor or the walls, and we'll come over. And I appreciate that, because I know a few times I've been on the floor. I didn't fall, but I've been on the floor not able to get up. And instead of calling for someone, I was being stubborn like I am, and I had to figure out a way to get up in case it happened again. And if you look at my apartment on the home tour that I made, you'll notice that everything is within arm's reach, except in the kitchen. And that's why you hear that kaboom, the third boom when I walk. It's a cane that I walk with. even in the apartment. I walk with a cane. And the reason is in physical therapy put me on the cane is when I step down on things. If I'm not careful, if I step down hard on my right leg, then I'm in trouble because my right leg will push up into my spine, which I have 5 herniated discs in, and it hurts. Oh, come on. Some people cry when they cut up onions. I don't have that problem, but nothing's going to waste here. Some of them don't want to be captured and thrown into a slurry jar. But they're getting it because that's what they were for. You know what, I'm just going to take this chopping block over and put it over the trash. Okay, now we've got the garlic and we got the onions. Now we're going to pull out 3 bay leaves. And get it to snap. And I'm only using 3, but I had to get it to snap so it doesn't block the slurry jar when I go to pour it out. Okay, there's 3 of them. And you can add more if you like them. By all means, just remember it's your dish. And you're going to have a lot of people complimenting you on this. Now about this time I'm going to add a teaspoonful of sugar. Now some people think that it should be brown sugar, and some people think that it's white sugar. It's just a matter of your opinion and what you like. You can try it both ways. Remember, once again, it's your recipe. And this, you can sit there and put this in a food processor if you wanted to. That's shook up enough. Now we're going to take this chicken and put it in a marinade bowl. Now some people don't like it with the skin on. and I've eaten it both ways. Right now I am pulling the skin off, which is easy. You know, you go in Kentucky Fried Chicken, I probably shouldn't have said that, but most of your chicken places, they got skin on. And I know everybody's like, well, that gives flavor, and some people are like, that gives grease and oil. And yes and yes. It does, and it does. And it's got that bad boy stripped. And by the way, I love Kentucky Fried Chicken, so I wasn't cutting them down at all. I was just making a statement that the skin is left on. I think most chicken places do that. Some chicken places, you can order the skin off. And yes, I do clean my chicken. Sometimes the skin's a little tough to cut. And I usually just leave it down at the bottom if it's tough to cut. You have a little bit of flavor. I know everybody's like, okay. Oh, I thought that was okay. We can remove all that for the dishwasher person, which is in fact me. Now you're going to still need the oil, okay? And so here's what we're going to do right now. I'm one of those clean freaks that clean everything. That's okay. Now we did all that. We're going to pour it all over that chicken. I just added just a tiny bit of water in here just to get the goodies out. Like I said, nothing goes to waste here. Now comes the rough part. See this this liquid that you see on here and I think one of the reasons some people, not a lot, but some prefer the brown sugar is because this liquid actually will thicken up. And there's one good thing about the being prepared and getting the garlic like that is, in case there is another crazy thing goes on where everyone's buying everything, that can sit out on the counter. It's not going to spoil. It's sealed. And I mean, when you go in the store, you can see it's sealed. So it's not going to go bad. Now, I remember in the Marine Corps, we had a big exercise, and it was in Turkey, North Carolina. And it's kind of funny because where we got put in and where we camped for 3 days was next to a garlic field. And so the garlic was growing even in the bushes and the trees and everything. And I brought home huge, full of Ziploc bags full of garlic. You know, we had garlic for weeks, months. Okay. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to put this in the refrigerator, and we're probably going to leave it for about an hour just so it gets in there. And if you want to, you can, if you wanted more flavor, and I've done this before, if you wanted more flavor, you can actually you can take the chicken and cut it in bite sizes. You know, it's all up to you. And so far I'm at 27 minutes and 53 seconds. And what I'm trying to do is, before was the last thing I was shooting. For some reason my battery would stop after 30 minutes and it would start recycling. Now, that's no good because it cut the whole front end, cut a lot of parts off. And I'm trying to see, because I know a lot of these cameras have an internal set where it recycles after 30 minutes. I read that when I was trying to figure out what was wrong. And also, you know, because I was trying to figure out why it was resetting. That just bugged me. Okay, we're back. We've had it in there for longer than an hour, but that's okay. That's the beauty of this. It could be in there for longer than that. You know, some people say overnight, and some people say 20 minutes. See what we're going to do here. We got the onions that weren't completely cut up. They're in there too. We can take out any of the bay leaves. You have to. Or you can leave them in. I mean, truth is, someone will notice them if they take a bite of them. My catch-all drawer is starting to come apart even more. I'm sure everyone's got one of those that you put everything in. Right now, I'm just digging out the chicken, and I put like a tablespoon of oil in there. Now, we're not going to get rid of this marination sauce, I guess you would call it, or the sauce you marinated it in. We're going to use it. Trust me on that. Just want to make sure that the chicken gets good and cooked. Oh, and by the way, yeah, the camera actually shut down and did a loop at 30 minutes. Whoever thought that would be a good idea was not very smart. And so it wasn't the HD card, it was actually the camera. And someone said you can put there's a updated program you can put in there, and it will take care of that. And they even put the code in there and everything, and I tried it. And then it said on there, actually when I read down lower, it says, but it doesn't work on all cameras. Of course not. That had to be mine. You notice I take everything with a grain of salt. What can I say? All we're doing basically right now is we're just going to fry this chicken a little bit on each side. It'll shrink a little bit, so hey, you can move it around in there, because I got a lot of chicken in there. This is probably going to feed me for probably a good 3 days or 4 days. You can also put it, actually freeze it in your freezer and use it at a later time. You know, it's just some amazing stuff. And my son, sometimes he's a picky eater, and, or should I say, but he likes this. You know, he knows what he likes and what he doesn't like. Turn this down just a little bit to a medium. Yeah, we go to a restaurant. I think we went someplace down in Phoenix, and chefs are pretty cool because they all want to impress you with their food. And I think it was maybe either it was an Arabic or an Ethiopian restaurant we were eating at or something, you know, and the guy brought us dishes that were not on the menu. You know, he wanted us to try. And one of them, my son didn't like right off the bat. But you know, he wouldn't tell. The guy says, "Did you not like it?" The guy was actually looking for input about how to make it better, you know, and because it wasn't even on the menu. And my son, he's a little bit shy, or used to be. Not anymore, but he used to be. And he wouldn't tell the guy what he thought, because I mean, he was only like 8 or 9 years old, and we had gone down to what was it called, Christmas in July or something like that, at the Phoenix Zoo, and yeah, it's the middle of July, and they had snow blowers, had blown snow all around the zoo, and it was pretty cool. The giraffes, man, them big old long necks and stuff, they would dip their heads down and lick up, they had a big old long tongues, and they'd lick up that snow. It was real snow from a snowblower. And we stayed at it was a Best Western Resort down there, and it was awesome. It really was. I mean, if you were laying around by the pool, the bartender would come over and ask if you wanted a drink, and did you want to pay for it then or put it on your bill. It was that type of thing. And they had an outside, I guess you call it an atrium, full of exotic birds. And you could watch the exotic birds and stuff, and go up and throw food to them and everything. And this was right beside the pool. And I remember they had the towels were folded to look like certain animals and stuff. And it was awesome. Really, it was. And there were some stars that were staying there too. And I'm not going to mention their names either, because who knows, they might still go there. That might be their favorite place, but I'm not going to mention their name. But they were really cool. Jacob, he liked swimming, and he swim with some of their kids and stuff. He never knew who they were, and that was pretty neat. And I did, and they'd walk over and say hi and talk a little bit. Jacob had no clue who they were. He wasn't dumb, but he just didn't know who these people were that were, their kids were in there. And he paid attention because, like I said, he loved to swim, and still does, I assume. We haven't been anywhere in a couple of years. You got this virus going on. Nobody's got any money, and who knows. Anyway, the thing was, he paid close attention because he was worried that they were going to take his playmates away. And he would see them come over and talk to me, and then he would swim over after they walked off, and he'd be like, "Dad, are they leaving?" I'm like, no, they were just saying hello. He's like, "Oh, okay." And sometimes I would swim with him also. And I know we went to the Grand Canyon once, and that was interesting too. We stayed again at the Best Western. It was a resort. And well, let me explain this. I had a Best Western card, and so I would get discounts for staying in their hotels. And oh man, I remember this one. He was little, and I would say he was probably 6 or 7 maybe. Anyway, they what they did is they gave us a double bed, I guess you call it a queen bed, and anyway, it was kind of funny because I had a toothache and it was infected bad. So that night I got the chills and bad temperature. I didn't have a thermometer, but I can almost guarantee it was like 104, maybe even higher. I needed medical assistance. We're up in Flagstaff at this resort, and I says, let's go to the sauna, because I couldn't get warm, and I figured the sauna would kill the, would help with my temperature and stuff. So we went to the sauna, and we were in there a long time, and it did, it worked. It got rid of the fever and everything, and then we went swimming, and we came back to the room and everything, and went to sleep. But before we went to sleep, I knew that I was getting a temperature again. So I took some aspirin and everything. And Jacob, he was worn out from swimming and everything else. And the next morning, we woke up soaked. If you can imagine a queen-size bed and someone sweating, they probably thought that we went to the bathroom, or that he went to the bathroom or something on the bed. I mean, it was that bad. And literally, that's how bad my temperature was. And so anyway, we went on, and we went on up and saw the Grand Canyon this whole time. And I'm one of these I try not to let him know that I'm hurting, even though he could tell that I was hurting. But I'm just that way. And so we went up and we saw the Grand Canyon. I don't know if we stayed overnight there or what, but anyway, we left. After we left, we came back down here to northern Arizona. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put in this liquid from the marinade I said we were gonna keep, and we're gonna put it in now for flavoring stuff. So we came back down here, and I only had him for the weekend, so he went back to his. See, I had him every other weekend, and the holidays were rotated also. So I only had him that weekend, and he went back to his mom's and everything, and I went to the dentist, and I could barely open my mouth. And the dentist looks at me and he says, "How are you dealing with this?" He says, "I've got to give you some antibiotics and make the swelling go down before I can even take care of the tooth." So he gave me some antibiotics and told me to get back. He gave me some painkillers. He told me to get back in touch with him in 3 days, which I did, and he pulled the tooth. Yes, he did, and I felt so much better. Yeah, that's a lot of what happened with that. Okay, so now I'm letting this start to cook, and I'm seeing that the battery is going down a little bit. I've got 2 out of 3. And so what I'm going to do is, while this is cooking, and you see, if you can see, right now, this looks, it actually looks thin. That is going to turn red. And it's going to get thick. Or thicker. See, I'm not stupid. I had to check. I had to check to see if I had batteries that were charged, or if I was going to have to charge them or whatever. Nope. I'm still good to go on the batteries. I have a fully charged battery. This is the part that's boring, because you just got to sit here and kind of stir it around once in a while. You don't have to really keep an eye on it until you see that it's really starting to thicken. That's when you need to keep an eye on it. But I'm going to turn it back up. And I'm going to shut this off for a minute and switch batteries. Even though I've got 2 out of 3, I just want to make sure it's going to work and save all this. I'm cautious now. See what I mean? I need a videographer. That's what you call them. Male or female. And you know, I've got one, you know, she lived over here, but she lives in Texas. Of course. Now look, she'd be able to do this and translate everything into Spanish, and then it'd have a bilingual channel. That I guarantee doesn't happen often. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down real quick, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back. It took all of 1 minute and 30 something seconds. Now it's starting to boil. And what we want to do is reduce this marinade down to a thick sauce. And even though it looks thin right now, it will get thick. Now I know there's probably, you know, it doesn't matter what you do, there's always going to be someone who's like, he's not doing that right, he's not doing that right, he's not doing that right. You know, but it's all how you were trained. Like I say, I always ended up finding a way into kitchens when I was in the Marine Corps, and I was not a chef, I was infantry. But I always like to learn things. Always. It's more fun. You know, in my spare time. I remember when I was over in the Philippines, we were in their house in Cavite City, my ex-wife's house, and she lived on the second floor. And I looked over at this young lady who was across the street, basically, and I would hear her baby crying. It took me a little while to figure this out. Her baby would be crying, and she'd bring it over and set it in the crib, and I would see her walk away. And I was like, man, she's not even holding that baby and keeping it comfortable where it can stop crying. And so my wife, she knew her, the whole family knew her. They just lived across the street. So my wife goes over and tells them, you know, my husband's worried about the baby because you put, and they already knew. And so what they did is they rearranged her bedroom, just switched it completely around. And like you can see the crib here and a rocking chair here, right in front of the window. And what was cool is the baby would start crying, and she'd put the baby in the crib, and she would pick up a book and come over and sit in the rocking chair and start rocking. Well, they had all these ropes and pulleys going up to the ceiling, going down to the rocking chair. So when she would rock, it would pull these pulleys, and the crib would rock like that. I was like, that's a genius, you know. I was impressed. And yeah, we had so much fun when I was there too. We went out in a bunker boat for lunch, and those are like hollowed out canoes or hollowed out trees. And you get some that are pretty sturdy and don't rock a lot, and then you have some like the one that I was in. It was totally rounded like this on the bottom, and I'm in that thing, and we're having a good time, and we've been drinking San Miguel beer. Now what we're doing is we're going out to a nipa hut out in the water of the ocean, away from the shore, and that's where we're going to have lunch. So we got there was 3 or 4 different bunker boats, and we start going out, and of course I turn around to talk to the guy who has control of the motor, and when I did, the bunker started rocking, and we went over out in the middle of the ocean. But they just laughed about it, you know, and you know, they're really great people. They don't get upset. They thought it was funny. They expected it to happen sooner. And it was pretty neat. I like to eat the balut there, except I only like the red ones. And balut's like a 13-day-old duck egg. But the white ones, Anthony, I can't think of his name, the bald-headed guy on Bizarre Foods, he tried it. He couldn't take it, but he tried the white ones. He didn't try the red ones. Now, red ones have juice in it, and they always give you a little funnel of salt. You know, it's made out of paper. And what you do is tap a hole in the top of it and sprinkle the salt in there and shake it up. And then you've got, it tastes just like chicken soup, you know. And then you eat the insides after you're done. But you know, nothing goes to waste over there. And, you know, we'd eat cooked chicken feet and everything else. And you know what got me is they would throw the shells when we were eating the balut and stuff. They'd throw the shells out the window next to the street and stuff, you know. And it did the same thing with crabs and clams, and you know, my brother-in-law, and him, they says, "So you like clams?" "Yeah." You like San Miguel beer? Yeah. And it says, give us 10 pesos. And this was, I guess, I don't know if he's my brother-in-law or my nephew-in-law or what. So I gave him 10 pesos. They left. They were gone for a while. And they came back with that 10 pesos with a case of San Miguel beer and a big bucket of steamed clams. And I mean, everything was cheap then, you know. The hotel we stayed at down in Longapo was like $8 a night. That's pretty cheap for a nice hotel too. And I think we paid a houseboy. Oh, I got to tell you this: we paid a houseboy. He's one that you pay, and he's like your, I wouldn't call it a servant, but if you wanted something, that's how you got room service. And we paid him like $10, and I had just come off of JESS training, which is Jungle Environmental Survival training down there, and I had a rash between my legs, and it was bad rash. And it would itch like crazy, and then it'd burn like crazy. And they were water rationing in Longapo at the time. So my wife, she asked the houseboy, what can you do? And he told her to give him so much money, and she did. He takes off, and he comes back. He had this little bitty jar about this big around and about that tall. And he said, put that down on your rash. Okay. He says, guarantee you, it will cure you. Okay, I'm ready for that. And because it was hot over there and very humid. And so if you can imagine how it was itching and then burn and everything, I couldn't sleep. I put that stuff on me, and it was okay for about a minute. And then it started to burn. I might as well have poured battery acid between my legs. It started to burn. And so I ran into the shower, turned the spigot on for water. No water. It just happened to be that time they were rationing, that hour or whatever. And I threw on some gym shorts, and I told my wife, I'll be back in a little bit. She says, where are you going? I said, I don't know, I'm just running. And I took off. I ran from one end of Longapo all the way to where it started going out of town, turned around, ran all the way back, and I don't know how far it is. It's probably, I don't know, a good, I don't know how far it is. It's a good 3 or 4 miles from where we were to the edge where it went out of town and stuff. And then I ran back, and I got halfway back, and I was still burning, so I started cutting down the side streets running, which nobody recommends because you get mugged over there doing that. But at the time I was so much on fire, I didn't care if I got mugged. That would have put me out of my misery. But I'll tell you what, when it stopped burning, I went back to our hotel room, and my wife says, thank God you're back. Are you okay? I says, yeah. And I says, it quit burning. And by this time, the water is running again. You know, in the hotel. I mean, the houseboy, he was going to go run and get us buckets of water. But I said, oh, don't worry about that, you know. You don't have to do all that. And he's like, but you already paid me. I said, don't worry about it. But the water, I mean, this is when they had it off, when I first started burning. So anyway, when I got back, the water's running. And I went in there and took a shower. And that rash was gone. I was amazed. It was gone, totally poof. And, you know, I don't know what it was. It didn't have any scent to it or anything. But it sure enough, oh my gosh. It burned me, but then it cured me. It was like amazing, you know. And those people are really, really smart over there. You know, I had a bolo knife, and the bolo knives are pretty cool. They're made out of horn of a caribou, and then you have the blade guard for your hand, and that's usually made out of brass. Usually they get the brass from wherever the Marine Corps and the Navy are shooting. They would go and pick up the brass and everything else. And then the blade, believe it or not, was made out of the steel from a steel belted tire. And the thing is, if you got cut over there, the easiest way to stop it, of course they had iodine vines over there too. When you cut them, it looked like milk, but it was iodine. So if you cut yourself pretty bad, to keep it from getting infected, you go cut one of those vines and drip the iodine in there, which did burn, but hey. Then you took another knife, if you have one, or you could take a rock, and you shaved that caribou handle down a little bit. You got a little pile of it, and then you pack that wound. And believe it or not, you'll stop bleeding, even if it's a deep wound. But you have to tell the doctors when you go in to get it fixed up and stitched up. I mean, we're talking deep cuts. You have to tell them what you did, because if they used anything with acetone in it, you'd be on fire. Look at that. The chicken's starting to fall off of the bone. But yeah, you would be on fire if they used acetone. You know, we ate bad over there. One of the instructors, he's talking to us, and you know, he showed us, you take a little square inch of material about like that, which you can get off anywhere, off your clothes or anything. Poke a hole in each side, and take your bootlace and tie it to each end of the strip. And then you take a rock and put in the middle of that strip. And about 4:30 or 5, the bats, there would be a black highway in the sky. I'm not joking. It literally would be a black highway. And all you had, and you know, bats run off of sonar. And they don't see very good in the day. And so you just take that rock and that sling that you made, and you whirl it up into the air. And it was amazing. A bat hit it and dropped it to the ground. And then we had 4 staff dogs that went over and took care of dispatching the rest of the bat. They told us don't eat our dogs, you know. And these were the Negritos down there at Just Training. And we took a thing of bamboo where there's 2 knots, one over here and one over here, and you cut it off, and then you slice out the top a little bit, and then you pour some rice in there, and you get water down from the ocean, which is, Philippines is an island. You get water down at the ocean, salt down at the ocean, you sprinkle salt down there on it, and then you slide the top back on, stick it in your fire. Oh man, my hands were raw, because they showed us how to take a stick and some bamboo and the dry shavings of a bamboo tree, and you take that stick and put it in your hands and go real fast like this, and the friction would start fire. And my hands were raw, but I did it. It was part of the training. You had to do it. And started the fire, and then we put that bamboo on there with the water and the bat that had been cut up, and the salt and the rice down in there, because you know you could get rice around there also pretty easy because it grew in patties and everything. And we cooked it and we ate it, and it was good. Tasted like a lean beef. You know, and then we also I've eaten this stuff all over the world down in Panama, the country, not Panama City, Florida. Panama, the country. I went through JOTC down there, which is Jungle Operations Training Center. And first time I went down there, it was kind of funny because we took off and we had to land in an Air Force base in Louisiana. We were supposed to pick up some Marines down there. I don't know what for or anything. But we landed and we picked up the Marines and everything. And we took off. And then I noticed we weren't gaining any altitude. We were like really low and circling the tower. And they'd pop up and pop down and pop up and pop down. And I'm like, this ain't right, something's not right. You know. And they decided they were going to go ahead and land. And they announced that they were going to be landing at New Orleans International Airport because there was a problem with our landing gear. Oh wait, go back. We landed again. We went back and we landed. That's what it was. When we took off, someone noticed that we had a flat. And so we landed back at that Air Force base. And they changed the flat for us. And this was the first time I found out that a KC-10, which is a refueler, and a DC-10, which was what we were on, the wheels, I guess, were not actually compatible. They were empty. There was just an inch or so difference. But, so we take off the second time, and I noticed that we're still going around that tower. This is something ain't right. And I looked at the Marine next to me and said, something's just not right. We keep circling this tower and we're not getting any altitude. And then they came on and says they were going to have to go set the plane down at New Orleans International Airport because they had all the emergency gear and we had a landing gear problem. And we got over to the airport there and they kept, you know, they would drop down by the tower and yank it up as hard as they could. We had some of them going down into the they would climb down into the belly of the airplane, and anyway, they said, okay, we have to go there. And it was kind of, this was the first time I've been in any type of emergency like that. And we're going into land, and the runway has fire trucks and ambulances on either side. And I mean, not just one, a few of them. And so we ended up landing, and if you're wondering why I'm kind of talking low, I had to sit down because of my back. Anyway, we ended up at landing, and they put us in a hotel overnight. I mean, the plane, they got the gear down right as we came in to land. And when we hit the runway, the gear popped the rest of the way out. But anyway, they put us in this hotel that was scheduled to be demolished the following week. I'm not joking. And we got in there these springs on these beds. I mean, this hotel had to be back when Bonnie and Clyde were around or something. I don't know, man. It looked, it was old. And so the next day, you know, they delivered the free newspaper to us, and everything. On the front page, it said the Marines had landed and landed and landed. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Delta flew in with another DC-10 and put us on it, and we made our way to Panama. And what was happening is President Carter was coming down to sign the Los Troubles Treaty. And so they wanted to put us through the jungle operations training, and then they wanted us to, you know, they were trying to get us used to the area in case something really bad happened. And it was pretty interesting because they took us on helicopters, Hueys, and set us out on hills, and we had to come back on our own. And you know, they taught us all about everything, how to get, how to forage. They had little fruits that looked like a sweet potato, and they tasted like a cooked sweet potato. You didn't have to cook them. And then, of course, the small bamboo tasted like celery, and it was good. And then, I'll be right back. And they showed us how to, I'm back. They showed, I had to pause it for a second because I was fixing to get 30 minutes. And they showed us how to catch a monkey, which I thought was pretty interesting. Back then we had sea rats, and there was some chocolate toffee, and it was covered in aluminum foil. Now monkeys are everywhere out there. We watched the monkey get high on weed and literally fall out of the tree into the ocean. And I mean, we were told, you know, if you see any marijuana patch, don't pick the marijuana. Number one, it's illegal, or you'll get popped the marijuana on a drug test. And they just started doing drug tests now. And so anyway, and they said, plus it's probably a local, you know, patch, and they will shoot you and everything. And you know, we were sitting there, this was after one of the classes, and we were down by the beach, and you know, palm trees were hanging way over. There's a monkey, there was a little marijuana patch down below, and we literally watched this monkey start to eat that marijuana. I know it's sad, but yeah, that monkey went up into that palm tree, and it was up there a few minutes, and all of a sudden it just fell into the water. You know, and we sat there and we watched it, and it didn't get up. It probably hit its head on rocks or something when it hit there. But anyway, what they told us to do is you take that, it was called, I think, toffee or something, and it had the aluminum foil, and you take your bootlaces, and what you do is you get a coconut, okay? You get a coconut. You put a hole about that big around in the center of the coconut, and a hole in each end. And you run your bootlaces all the way through. You pull the bootlace out of the center one, and you wrap that aluminum foil in, and then tighten it up and tie it to two trees. And I'm not joking you, this works, because monkeys were all over in the trees down where we were. And so anyway, monkeys are very possessive. And if they stuck their hand in that little hole, you know, they stuck their hand in that little hole, and they grabbed hold with that aluminum foil. They're not going to let go. Even if you come up and you try to yank it loose, they're not going to let it go. Nope. It was hilarious. And, you know, then if you want to, you untie one of the side of the trees, make a knot big enough not to go into the hole at the end of the coconut, and you untie the other side, you've got a monkey on a leash. Or you could hit the monkey in the head with a rock and eat it, which is what we ended up doing. It was like we had no choice about that kind of. But yeah, we survived out in the jungle like that, and we got black palm, what they call black palm, and it looks like a palm tree, and it's got black thorns on it. And if you reach over and you grab hold of that, it's got those thorns all in it. You pull your hand back, it hurts, but you think that you've gotten rid of that thorn. And what happens is it slivers off into your skin, and a few days later, it'll swell up, and you can push it, and what was in your skin will come out. I am not joking. And they had cheetahs that would run around there at night. It was definitely interesting out there. And all you had was a knife and the skills that they taught you. I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's starting to get thick. But anyway, yeah, Carter came in and we were all out in position along the runway there at Howard Air Force Base, and Air Force One landed, and I could have sworn it was Carter who stepped out on the I don't know what you call them now. I wasn't in the Air Force. I was in, like I said, in the Marine Corps. The stairs that they had pushed up there, and he had on like a polo shirt. And he walked back in, and after about 45 minutes to an hour, he came out in a suit. And I swear that was him both times, you know. It was like he stepped outside and found out it was, you know, he was just checking the weather. Who knows? But he came out, and then Los Trojos and them, they all came up and greeted him and swooped him away. And he signed the Los Trojos Treaty with them and gave up the canal, I think in 2000, I forgot what year, that the treaty stated they were going to give the canal over. Even though we built it, they were going to give it away, give it over to the Panamanians to take care of. And they did. And I can remember, we're going to turn this down, it's getting thick in there now. I'll put the lid on. And so they gave away the canal, and then when they wanted to get Manuel Noriega. And so I ended up going back down to Panama. And that was fun. You know, it was, I had already been down. Fidel Castro had a heart attack. And so I've been flown down to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And I'm about to leave Cuba, and they says we've got some orders to go down to Panama. So they sent me down to Panama. And that was interesting because when I was down in Panama the first time, we were on liberty or whatever you want to call it. We had time off and everything, and I met a young lady down there. And she was 17 and I was 17. And so when I got back to Panama the second time, years and years later, I looked her up and she was still around. And I won't go into detail, but yeah, it was kind of nice. She has a super long name. But yeah, we had a pretty good time down there. You know, even though that it was kind of a tense situation, I would call it. You know, you didn't know who was going to start shooting first and everything, and they had us trying to blow through roadblocks that the PDF had set up, their main defense force. If they had a roadblock, we would pull up and we would show them our papers. And one side was in English, the other side was in Spanish, and it was referred to the Los Trojos Treaty. And we were on a green road or white road. They had these roads marked as green, red, white. And, what they meant is they gave you certain authority to drive down these roads. And you would show that, and you were not supposed to let them hold you longer than 3 minutes. And if they held you longer than 3 minutes, then you were to just drive away. Yep. That's like, you know, saying, hey, shoot me if you want. You know, I'm serious. And, you know, we're trying to push their hand is what it was. We wanted, because the treaty was in effect, and you know, there was a lot of things, some drugs going on and all that stuff. So, yeah, we were trying to push it a little bit, you know. So it was kind of tense. But and going back to the first time, we took the Panama train down into Panama City, which drove down by the locks and all that. Man, that was a long train ride. And we got down in Panama City, and that was pretty cool. And then the second time I went down there, I got across the Bridge of Americas into Panama City, and the PDF shut down the Bridge of Americas. And so I was like, uh-oh, I'm going to have to stay on this side of the bridge for the night. And I went to a hotel. While I'm in the hotel, in the lobby, of course, all the phones are shut off and everything. Nobody can get through to approve my American Express Gold Card. And I'm like, oh man, this ain't good. And there was some guy whose leg was half blown apart and everything. It was still healing. And he was in the lobby and he started in on me. And I'm like, hey, I didn't do that to you. But I guess it was Americans did, because there have been a few firefights down there already. But anyway, finally they got somehow got an approval for my American Express card. And I ended up staying the night on the other side, the far side. But it was a nice hotel and everything. But it was interesting. I enjoyed the food and eating the cerveza and things like that. And I found my way into the kitchens down there also. So yeah, I've got recipes from France, Belgium, England, Mexico, Panama, um, Norway, you name it. I've got all these recipes, and they're all in my head. And then when I got back, I went to school, and Culinary Adventures. It's not what it's called, but it was culinary school, and I went to that, and then it was kind of interesting because you know I'd gotten injured, and the reason I got injured, well, is I found out I didn't really want to be, you know, I didn't really want to cook for a long time, uh, and so anyway, but I did cook. I cooked at home, and I knew all these. I actually wrote a cookbook, and I would cook for my son, and he ended up going to 2 years of culinary school and loved it. You know, believe it or not. And but I couldn't hardly ever get him to cook me anything. I guess he's saying like that's too much like work or something. You know, I don't know. Anyway, I think what I'm gonna do is dish out some rice, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like because it's done. Let's see what. Oh, we got plenty of time. Yeah, I actually wrote a cookbook, and then um, I had it on another computer, and this was back when everything was on a hard drive, which now I have everything on SSDs, and it's like super fast. But eventually I'll get that hard drive because I was fixing to publish it. You just have to pardon me, I'm dishing out the rice. Yeah, see, I told you, brown rice. Yeah, if I can get that. If I can get that hard drive fixed, I've got a ton of recipes that were created off of my head. That you won't find anywhere. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I'm going to show you. Yeah, how thick that is. I should bring this back a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do here. I think I'm going to have one of these drumsticks and one of these thighs. Take some of this the sauce. Told you it was thick enough. You didn't believe me. Turn that off. I've already washed these, but what we're going to do is make it look pretty. And you can make these as long or short as you want. And I just used my kitchen scissors. And that is done. I don't want it to cook anymore, so I'm going to move it over there. And kind of clean up this plate, because you eat with your eyes before you eat with your palate. Tell me if that looks pretty and very edible. It is very edible. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like this, and thumbs down if you didn't. And don't forget to comment. And I just think your kids are going to like that too. I know they will. Like I say, my son's a little bit picky, and he liked it. So that's one of the nice things about it. And I've got more recipes I'll be coming on showing. Maybe one of these days I will pick a sponsor. Let's see. Perfect, perfect, perfect. One of these days I'll pick a sponsor, or maybe a few, and you might see some ads on here or something. And they're still debating about that, I guess, at AdSense. I don't know. But I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this, and if you're in a cold place, stay warm. If you're in a warm place, go out and soak up some rays and enjoy it. And either way, y'all stay safe. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. And like this, I appreciate every subscriber, trust me. Because I guess I have some friends also. I have to bring this up. I have some friends. I noticed that my watchtower went down just a little bit. And I went, how can that be? And so I noticed that I wasn't seeing some of my friends online, and so I called them. And they says, well, we had to close down our internet because of this virus. Since we're not working, we don't have enough money for the internet. And so I'm guessing when someone closes down their internet and their email address and stuff, then you lose those hours. I don't know. I'm behind in hours. If you watch this whole thing, I dearly appreciate it. And also, once more, I want to thank all my friends in Turkey. And don't forget, send me some I don't know what you call it, proposals, I guess, for some egg symbols, the traditional ones, because I like the sound of those. I really do. And AGOP puts out some really nice symbols. And also for my friends in Romania who are singers and drummers, and actually I've got friends all over the place. Let's walk over this way. It's hot in there. And my friends in Indonesia, I thank you as well. And in the U.S. and well, every place that actually watched my videos and made all this happen, I want to thank you all again. And I'll be getting back in touch with y'all. Y'all stay safe. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.